This video will show you how to assemble the magical rabbit hat box from Simply Crafty SVGs. Just one of the SVGs available in our Magic Things SVG bundle. So here are the pieces to the box. So we have the white pieces, which are the ears and the top of the rabbit head, and the little pink pieces for the ears. So we're just going to put those aside for a minute. Then we'll have this, which is these 6 pieces, which will be the box, and you can see that we'll have to fold them like this, just to show you how that's going to fold. It's going to fold like this. So each of those 6 pieces we want to fold like that, then fold back like this. So we'll do 6 of those, and then these 2 pieces for the bottom of the box. Since the hat's upside down, this is the top of the hat, but the bottom of the box. Then we have all these pieces are the lid. It goes with the rabbit pieces. So these will go like here. And then these are the default bands that come with the file. But if you look in the extra stuff folder, you'll have these. So these are just if you don't want the scalloped edge and want a little bit different look. So we have that. And then these. So in the extra folder as well are these little ones. So I'll explain to you what these are. These are 6 of these. Make sure you have 6. My 6 ones underneath here. Or these. So I'll explain that it's either or, but this is the default that I put in the file. So you'd have to look. We'll talk about those extra things. So this does go with the lid, or those little pieces. So we're going to start with this piece. I already pre-folded it. I'm just going to go ahead. You want to go around the edges and do basically a mountain fold, which is folding it like this, naturally back. So this is the way it would cut. This is the textured side up. I'm using American Craft textured cardstock. Then you want to go around and fold those down, and then also fold this backwards, this top one backwards. Use a bone folder or something like that. And see, those are already fold backwards. But if you have a score tool or score wheel like you're using the Cricut, other than using some other like the dashed cut lines will be easier to fold backwards. But we need to do that because we're going to glue it in on this like this. So this will be going down to put the rabbit head in. So this is the top, and this is really the bottom of the paper. So what we want to do once we get that all folded, we have these little side tabs. We want to glue those side tabs. So this is one of our 3D designs. So you're going to just line that up. See, you line that edge up to the tab fold. Get it in place. Just kind of cleaning up. And so you can put the tabs on the, I meant to put them on the outside. On the outside or the inside. So since I did the inside, well actually let's do the outside here. Well, I just did that one. We want to put them on the outside by default. It's just by habit I put them on the inside. So I'm going to fix that. Put it on the inside. So we want to match this edge up to the inside to fold. If you find it's easier for you to put it on the inside, this is where these little pieces come in. Those will hide the tabs. And especially if you're using like printed paper where it's white on the other side, that'll hide that. So I'm going to go around, and so when you take the lid off, we're going to have this piece, oops, right here. These pieces that cover the tabs. So again, put it on the outside. Unless you feel more comfortable, if it's on the inside, you need to go to the extra stuff folder and get those little black pieces. And I'll show you, I'll demonstrate that one once I get this together. Because we don't want to do that. If you do that, you don't want to do it until you get the bunny head, after you get the bunny head in. So you can see the biggest thing here is making sure that these edges line up on the inside. not overlap, and you can see there, right there, the light. No, black's not the best. Usually when I do black designs, I try to do it in a different color, but if anybody has trouble, they could always email me. Hopefully with my vocal, depends on obviously if English is your language, because I do get a lot of people that are international. So once you get these all glued, if you put them on the outside, you're going to take these, make sure everything's secure, and then we're going to take these pieces, there's 2 of these, fold them. I'm just going to put a little bit of glue. So this is just so it looks pretty when you lift the lid, because that'll be visible on the inside. We're going to go ahead, you want to get it near the, I'm just going to put the middle one on first. Line that one up. It's a little bit longer to give you a little space. And then line it up like that. And that'll hide all the tabs. Just making sure it's lined up here, right here, so the edge is not dropping below that. So you can see that's where it's at, and then here's a tab. So there's where you can see the tabs. So we're going to cover those remaining tabs. So if you are liking this project so far, you can go ahead and take a look at simplycraftysvgs.com, and you'll see so many other 3D items that we have available. So I'm just going to put glue on this directly this time. It is a little smaller height-wise. Well, actually it's about the same size. Very close. So we can cover those. It's longer for these sides are longer, just to make sure we account for that fold. But you want to center that middle one first. Get it in place so we can match up where the edges are. And then glue them. And we're doing this so we can get it nice and dry before we move on here. It's easier to do it now than any other time. So these tabs, just make sure it doesn't hinder it from folding backwards. So what I'm going to do is, we want it to go like this. I want the textured side, so I have a textured paper. So I want the textured paper to be upside down from below. So here's a test one, so you can see. Right there. I want textured paper down there and on the top. So that's why we have 2 panels. And to make it easier to hide the tabs. So right now I don't want to have the texture side up, I want it down. So I'll put the other one aside just so it doesn't confuse us. So this will go in here. It'll be easier to go from this side. So we want to glue the tabs to the non-textured side. So there we go right there. So this would be the bottom of it. So I'm going to add glue. So I have the texture side up of that big one. So I can glue to the other side. So I'm going to just add glue to one tab. Fold it back. Get it right into that area. Like that. So this is the top. And then once we get that set, let's go ahead and fold those in. Make sure they go in. And they should go in just fine because that hole is just slightly bigger to help with the assembly. So I'm going to add glue to the one opposite the one we just attached. And that's just to center it. So it's easier to do those last 4. So you want to be careful not to get any glue down here on the bottom, so we have it kind of clean. So if you do, just make sure you have a little damp paper towel nearby to help you get any excess glue off your fingers, that kind of thing, or off the paper. So you may need to jiggle it in just a little bit to make sure that the fold lines up to the edge, this inside edge here of the large brim panel. And the panels are the brim panels, these round brim panels are, so I'm kind of pushing down to make sure that I can get it to fold on the actual fold, tab fold. But anyways, you can kind of push up. I just want to go ahead and get those set down. So you're forming the little down, the place that we're going to put the rabbit head. So let's add glue to the last two. So if we get a little glue on this side, it's okay because we're going to cover it with another brim panel, which is the same exact size. So we'll go ahead and put that on before we put the hat. So I'm going to flip it over so the texture sides up. I mean, before we put the put together the little bunny head. And the reason is it'll be easier to glue now than it will later. So let's go ahead and I'm using art glitter glue today. I do like Barely Art glue as well. They're both very similar, but a little bit different. Barely Art has a little bit, I mean, this is watery, but little goes a long way. So you have to be careful how much you put on. So just play around with the glue that you have, and glues are very personal preference. So making sure that the texture sides up. I'm going to go ahead and line it up to that opening. I want to make sure that I'm just going to go a little bit, get as close as possible. So the one thing you will see a little bit are the edges possibly of the folds. So once I get it in place, I'm just going to flip it over and apply pressure this way so we can get it good and secure. So if you do like our projects and our videos, I always ask if you can give me a little thumbs up and or subscribe to our channel if you have not already done so. And if you do hit that little notification bell to the right, you'll be notified when we have new content, tutorials or projects like this, or freebies. So it wasn't perfect, but really you're not going to notice it, so try to get it as close as possible. So this was intended to be more of a display item. It is a box, a gift box, but somebody asked for a larger something for a magic party. So this is what I came up with. So it's more of a centerpiece. So now we're going to go ahead and put this together, and this will go in here. So let's go ahead. I'm going to put that aside. And I have these pieces. So what you'll notice when you cut these, some notes first. This is going to be, we're going to put these together and this will go attached to this. Some notes here are a couple things. This file, if you wonder if, why the score lines, can you change the score lines to solid? You can't. I did this on purpose. You'll never see these, and it will be easier for you to put it together if these are dashed lines. So I really didn't want any option for anybody to use a solid score line. That was my choice because I think it'd just be too hard. I could have done that with this one, which I probably should have, but you would still be able to see, some people might not be able to see the dashed cut line. There are people that are very particular, but this will not be seen at all. So this doesn't need any prep in Cricut at all. So all you need to do is go ahead and fold this So let's do this first. We'll do this and this. You want to take this, actually first thing, use something like a bone folder, like this, to curl it. You could use a pen too, or a dowel. You want to curl it to get the curve of the head, like that. And I'm trying not to make any like dimples or anything in it, just trying to burnish it a little bit to get the curve. And then we're going to go ahead and fold it that way, and then just, actually this one you could fold back easily. You don't really need to train it because of the cut lines, which is nice, which is a valley fold. So you could use this to get a crisper fold in my way. Do this. I'm just going to go over it one more time to get that curve back. So now we're going to glue it to this. So make sure the texture side is up. And we're going to glue it just like we did the piece to the hat, or the brim, I should say. So we're going to start on one edge. And this is slightly, it's not as long as this edge, so it will fit underneath it. Making sure that the texture side's up. You'll barely see this, so let's say you went the opposite way. You won't see it really easily in the box. So as we did with the brim piece, we're going to put the opposite in. So I'm going to kind of put those under so we don't have to fight with them above it for the next step. There we go. So I'm just going to fold it, kind of curve it so I can get it set in place. So I'm having this inside edge line up with the tab fold. And then that puts it in place. Then we'll go ahead and put these remaining tabs in. So just make sure you get them in their spot. Just going carefully. Trying not to get glue on top. There'll be these nice gaps in between so we can attach the ears. So let me finish that, and then we'll work on the ears. So we'll attach these last two. And there's the top of the head, which will go in here. You can see this kind of fits right in there. So for now, you don't have to do that. I just was showing you. Let's go ahead and we'll put together the ears. So with the pink, I'm taking this worn lipstick Distress Oxide, and this is blush American Crafts texture cardstock. And I'm just going to ink it a little bit, and you can see the middle. So the way to test, if you want to know like what color is going to look good, just look through. It doesn't have to be Distress Oxide. I just like the way it blends. But it can be really any ink, and you can play around. And usually I play on a good place is to try it on the back of it, if you have double-sided paper. If not, just a scratch piece to see which color works well. And then I already kind of did this one, but I'm going to add a little bit more. I like to have a little bit of something to rub off on the excess on. So I'm going to just wanted to add a little pink to the middle there. And I already did that a lot, actually, so let's do the other one. But again, test the color on a scratch piece of cardstock, the same color cardstock, if you want to do something like that. This one I need a little bit more to get that color across, to get that blend in the middle. Let's see if they're similar. They are similar. So we'll do that first. We're not going to put that on quite yet, in just a minute here. And I did, if you're wondering, I use these iCrafter finger blending brushes for little jobs like this. So now let's go ahead. I'm going to put this aside. And we have these 4 ears. I just lost my thought for a second. So the one thing I want you to note is I already, in pencil, there's going to be cut lines. There's going to be one cut line on 2 of them, and then 2 cut lines on the other. So you can see 1 cut line and 2 cut lines right there. So we want to put them together, so put 1 with 1 and 2 with 2. So the reason is that we need to go back to back. So they need to glue like this. And I'll tell you how they go on after we glue them. So the texture side's out, and then we go like this. So they're going to be back to back. You don't want to glue the tabs. You just want to glue up to the tab. So we'll do this piece. And I said there's a cut line, so make sure you add glue above the cut line for the tabs. Those tabs will be used to attach the ears to the head that we just created. Oops. Let's go ahead and line it up. The only reason we have those cut lines is just so I can show you how it goes on the head. They're the same shape, but they're slightly different, so you just need to make sure you have the matched up head. So this one too, we'll put on the pink middles. Just gonna make sure I get the glue a little bit closer to above these cut lines. Don't want to put too much because I don't want to see the glue ripples. So I just lined it up towards the top. And the sides all going down. So now looking at them, we want the cut lines on the outside. So this is cut number 1, so this is the left. So that it can't be like this. We don't want it towards the middle. You want the rounded piece towards the outside. So the one on the outside, same thing on the other side. You want the numbers on the right tabs. So this is how it's going to attach. So this is the side we are going to put the pink pieces. So these are almost identically the same, these pieces. So you could try it and see which one looks better to you. So we're going to go ahead. That looks good to me. We're going to line that bottom edge up right here. And line this up right almost right above those cut marks for the tabs. We don't want to be below it or over it because then it will, see right there? We just don't want it to hinder the fold. Oops, let's flip this over again. Make sure that one's on the left-hand side. Right up to those. I just was being cautious because of the way that the paper bends can cause us some problems. So we know this is the way it needs to go on. So now we're going to take this and glue them on. So I'm just going to kind of decide what's the front. They're all the same. So we're going to glue them in 2 of these. So we want to pull them through. So we know this is going to be the left. I'm just going to go like this, just gently place them through that. Start with this one right here. Fold it back. We're going to add glue to one side and the other side. Make sure you don't add glue below that fold. We're going to go as close as possible to this. So we're going to move it in. Fold it down like that. And the other way, that way. You want to hold it. Make sure you don't put too much glue because we don't want to be able to see it from the top. And you could have curled these a little bit before, but I'm choosing not to curl them right now. So the same thing, you need to push this in just a little bit. Just push it in. Add glue to both sides. We're going to fold it back. Try to line up that fold with the edges here. This one went a little bit awry on me here. Let's try that one more time. So there's one ear. Let's put the other one in. Again, make sure that this is on the right. Gently place it in. Get it as close to the middle as possible for that first tab. I'm going to fold them, pre-fold them back so we have them folded so we know where we have to add the glue. I'm just going to add glue to all of them right now. Move it in so you can see how close it is right here. And then fold those over like that. You want to hold them as long as it takes to get them secure. Make sure they don't pop up. So if you wanted, you could curl these a little bit. It's going to be a little bit difficult just because of the layers. But that's up to you. The bone folders are really good because they don't really cause any problems to the paper. It really handles paper well. Just put a little slight curve to them to give them a more natural look. But they are quite thick, so be careful. So you could try doing that before you put it on. But this way I can kind of see how they're going to go. So you can see there's like a little curve. See that from the side? So it's up to you how you want to do that. See if I can get this one a little bit more like that. So now we'll take the lid, and it's going to sit like this. So whatever you want should fit in. It will be a little snug, but it's actually smaller than what's in there. Place it the way you want. So this is where it's going to be handy to have a little tool like this, or let me get one of my favorite tools, a wooden chopstick that's free, that we're going to use to apply against this to help you apply pressure to glue it to this piece. So we'll go ahead and add glue. Try not to get close to the edges because we don't want to see it going down. You could also add glue right in here. If you want to do it right here, you could do that there. But if you get too close to the edges here, the glue might show as we're going down. So I'm going to decide what the front is. I have a little dried glue on it. Just going to angle it in. There we go. And you can use your fingertips, but if for some reason you're having some difficulty applying pressure, you could use something like a bone folder to apply pressure. I feel like this size. If you were to make it smaller, it'd be a lot more difficult. But this size, I feel like we can get in. And with black paper, just beware, it's a little bit different than every paper, how it glues and handles and cuts, just because of the dye for some reason. So there's the lid. Finished. So let's go ahead and move on to the box. So one thing I forgot to mention are these little pieces right here. So just, those are for, let's say you had, since this is the side that we print, let's say you had printed paper, like black paper, and you want the edges to be hidden, or you put the tabs on the side. This is in the extra stuff folder, so those would just go over like that. So you would just glue these on each side to hide the tabs inside. So that's what those are for. So again, that's the extra stuff folder. So now heading to the box, we have these two bottom pieces and this top piece. Or not the top piece, the actual box. So these are all the same. So I'm going to go ahead and fold these. So once again, if you saw me earlier, we have fold here. So you can see a fold here, like that. And then folding there, and you may have to fold a little bit more. So that's a mountain fold. We're going to valley fold this one. So do it one way to train it, and then carefully fold it backwards to get a valley fold, like that. So we want them all to look like this. Folded like that to get that little angle that we need. So if you want to do that first, you can do these two and then do this. But if you don't go this way the first time, it might be harder to fold backwards unless you use the perforated versions of the files, which has the dashed lines ones, which is the ones that by default used to be the default before we had solid score lines in the world of Cricut and other machines. So there's 6 of these. So whatever you want to do, I mean, this is my fast way of doing it. I rarely do show the ultra fast way of doing it, but because I do it all the time, or I've done so many practices, it gets easier. So that just makes it way easier to do it in advance, so you can just focus on gluing accurately rather than folding. So now we'll start with this. Like all those pieces are all the same shape. Just going to go ahead and add glue to the side. So what you want to be really careful of is getting too much glue towards the edge, and this is where I have this little damp towel that will help me get any excess off. So we can go ahead and we're going to line it up towards it. Start at the top, line this edge up to the tab fold like that. I'm just gently getting it into place. You can always use your finger to make sure that that is in line with the tab fold. You can see that's what it looks like on the inside. So if you're new to 3D, this is, other than that maybe the lid was a little bit more advanced, but this is not that bad for somebody new to 3D if you just take your time. I always say try our freebies first. We have a couple little boxes if you're not familiar with making boxes. So we're just going to continue around that way. So you want to do it, if it's easier for you, I think it's easier to just do the first tab to anchor it on. I'm just making sure I get good coverage of glue. Line it up at the top. Then line that edge up with the tab fold. Like that. You want to make sure you get as close as possible because we want the lid to fit in well. If you are too far away, it's going to make it, well, actually you don't want to go over it because it would make it too small. But if you don't go over it, then you should be fine. And the bigger it is, the better it'll be to get that lid in, because that insert piece is what fits inside. So you can see I'm just kind of rubbing my fingertip. Then I had a little bit of excess glue there. So you want to take your time, get these all connected, and then we can go ahead and add the brim band, or hat band I should say. Not brim, but hat band. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this. So I'm going to not be talking. I'm just going to go show you through the video. It's going to be a little bit faster so we can get this done. Then go on to the next step. So I stopped. I wanted to talk you through this last one because it can get a little tricky when you close a section like this. So the same thing, you just want to add, you want to do the same steps, but no, it might be a little bit tricky. This one is pretty straight, so it should be okay. The rounded ones are harder. So you want to line them up, but it comes to a point where you can't manipulate it as much. So you want to get it in your hands to get it lined up. However you need to get it lined up. So I just kind of flipped it over so I can reach in better because I have very short fingers. I mean, this is true of every section that you connect. The other thing is make sure you count 6 before you close this up. Make sure you have 6 connected. I've done it where I had 6 sides or 8 sides and I've put 7 or 5 depending on it, because I had one just sitting to the side here. So I wanted to mention that too. It's happened to me more than once, so if I could help somebody else on that journey, then that would be great. Try to keep everything together, but sometimes we just kind of shove a piece underneath something. So here we got it's looking like a box with the flaring out. So now we're going to take one of these. We're going to put the bottom on. It won't fit in the top. So one's going to go on the inside, like that. So I'm going to put the non-textured to non-textured, but it's going to glue on the inside. We'll be able to reach inside to apply pressure, but this just gives it a little bit more structure. You could just put on one if you wanted. If you wanted to save paper, you could just cut one and ungroup everything. But I always like to do 2 because I think it's generally easier. The difference is that you can't put it through the top. So I'm going to anchor it to this one. So I just added glue on the inside. I'm going to line this up. I'm purposely putting the textured side on the inside. See how it glues there. There. And we'll put another one on the outside to hide those tabs, but those that are more experienced might just put one on there. And I only say that because I've been doing this for years, but I like to always have 2 tabs on a big section like this. It just makes it stronger, the box stronger, especially if you're putting a gift inside. So I'm adding glue to all these tabs, kind of pushing that down. You can push that inward. Doing it kind of fast so the glue doesn't dry. I'm going to flip it upside down and apply the pressure from inside. So we're going to flip this. Flip these inwards. I'm going to start from the side that's attached to. And then I'm going to push these edges in as I go around. It's going to fit perfectly to each side. As I'm pushing in, I can feel that the edges are lining up with the inside tab folds down there. You just want to start with the one you glued anchored and then just flip it around and apply pressure. You can't see it. It's just one of those things hard to see or show on video, but you can kind of see inside. I'm going to flip it upside down and you can see that they're all glued on the bottom. So if you're wondering, I do use this little, I've been using this for years. My sister made this for me. It's just a little alcohol thing that I use for getting my little paper damp. And I do change out my little paper towel. That's just to help me do that. Sorry about that noise. I knocked that over. So now that we have that glued on, we can go ahead and glue this on the bottom. Just make sure there's nothing on your fingertips as you're holding the outside of this because all that black is visible. You want to get the glue as close to the edge as possible when you're gluing on something like this. I tend to let it get a little bit away from the edge because I'm messy with glue. And then I have to put it on before it dries. Anyways, let's go ahead and put that on. Making sure that the texture side is showing. Line this up. Making sure I don't get the excess glue. Center it the best you can. Some excess glue right there. Once you have it into place, I'm just going to gonna flip it over, and you just want to apply pressure all the way around and on the bottom to get it secured. And then we'll add the hat band, which is pretty much the last piece of this to finish off the box. So I'm really running my fingers across these edges right here to make sure it glues so there's not like a major gap down there. So you can see there's a little bit of gap right there. So we got that bottom piece on, so it makes it nice and clean. So now we're going to go ahead and add this. So as I stated earlier, if you just want a straight edge one, just go to the extra stuff folder. But this scalloped one is the default one in the file. I'm going to fold these. So we're just going to glue them on like we did those lid ones. So I know that the camera may go out a little focus just because of the way that I'm situating that box. And black doesn't do well in film. Actually, when I add glue, I just made a mistake. I want to add glue to this one first. So we're just the one with the tab. So I want to put that one on first. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Trying to stay away from the edges too much, the top and bottom edge. We're going to start with this middle panel. we're just going to go ahead and center it. Line up, the scallop edge should be at the bottom, and you want to line up that top edge to the top edge of the box. And then you can go ahead and wrap it around here. So I'm just making sure that it lines up at the top. And I'm going to glue this little tab. And the reason why we want to put this one on first is because of this little tab. So put the one with the tab on first. Then I'm going to add glue back to this one. I don't need much. Just to get a refresher. You really don't need much glue. You can put less than what I'm putting. Just going around the tops and bottoms edges. Just enough to stick. So now I'm going to do the middle here. So empty, empty middle. I'm going to pick it up to see it at my angle so I can line up that top. Oops. Have to kind of move it down so I can see it better. Not for the camera view. It should line up fairly well here. Let's see. Going back over it, making sure it doesn't go loose at the top. And this is going to finish off the project. So we'll put it all together here. So I zoomed out just a little bit. You can see how big it is. So here's a nice gift box. And we're going to go ahead and put this lid on. It just fits right in like that to create our little, quite large actually, our little rabbit, magical rabbit hat box. So I hope you like this project, and I thank you so much for watching.